The Four of Wands, and if we're talking about what the Ace and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 mean, they mean how quickly you remember, when you remember, how quickly you remember who you are and what you're here to do, right? Who you're waiting on, how long it takes, right? With the Three of Wands. And the Four of Wands, the portal, your spirit guides connecting with you successfully and totally waking you up, right? And for me, that lines up with the Seven of Cups, which is like completely, totally transforming into being full Scorpio and basically living according to where my spirit guides and the murder victims who come to me for help. Any soul that comes to me for, like, being completely connected to the other world. Yes. And doing that kind of work, the scavenger hunt. Okay. So we look, and then we've got all that red space there in the Death card, right? And then we have to line it up with that Chariot. Okay. So start making notes like that. Notes that I'll read. How I found out about, and then, you know, what's fixed, what's mutable, what matched up in life with that. So it's becoming fairly holistic, the notes. Found out that Sagittarius, the one nakshatra, is ruled by Mars. So there's even strong Mars energy according to Jyotish. There's strong Mars energy carrying over. Yeah. So the notes are becoming a little tighter. Neptune, yeah, and that's when I realized, because my Neptune's there, and I was like, yeah, my Neptune's in Scorpius, but there is no Neptune in the nakshatras. And so I made the notes about that. That's when it all started coming together. But this is how I'm writing it out. What's the answer to house number 1? How long did it take me to wake up and remember, and why? And where did it come from? And am I going back there, where I came from? Well, it took me 43 years to get here. 44, I guess. And 44 would be a master number. Or 42, since painting the pink spider when I was 2. Which means Douglas Adams is right again about 42. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. What's the answer to life, the universe, and everything? So where do I come from? How did I get to Aries space station? That's what we need to find out. So, Two of Pentacles, directions, choices, plans. In Brahmi, lines up with Shaman, lines up with co-creator, Venus leader. Venus leader would be the Leo placement. Co-creator would be the space above her head. That got a little dicey. I was like, okay, well, the space above her head is like not even in there. Hierophant, benefactor, shadow government. Diplomat, benefactor, family business, and commercial merchant. Commercial / merchant, because obviously commercial and merchant are similar. Hard to be one without the other. Tech, occultist, family, business, temple, court energy. So priest or judge energy. Muse and family business and anarchist, right? This is exactly how my life's been playing out. Four of Pentacles. Head aligned with heart in the Four of Pentacles. Stability. And then Pentacles for me, deep magic. Convener, medium, and pioneer ×2, because the pioneer placement overlaps in the house systems overlapping, plus my Uranus placement. Okay, I'll figure out what that means. 7 of Wands, defending. 7 is defending and committing to, right? And transforming. So there it lines up with the Jupiter leader and innovator, socio-capitalist, and reverse engineer. These are all my shorthand notes. Each term is a nakshatra. 5 of Swords, social engineer, entrepreneur, and info overload, music expert, and Mercury, my Mercury placement, conceptualist, speaker, singer, picture maker. Now I do have an incredibly strong childhood, completely taught by professional musicians. Then I have to incorporate all that knowledge. I have to take from it to inform all of my work. But yes, like an insane amount of professional musicians and music experts and music teachers, private music teachers are what I had as a child. My mom being a classical singer, opera singer. Her friends were my teachers. 5 of Swords. Yeah, we did that. 10 of Pentacles, picture maker, all powerful. There's an all powerful energy up in Capricornus. Absolutely. Medium, prophet, advocate, Jupiter, and archivist. 9 and 10 of Cups, I put them together. So the music expert, sun leader, influencer, black moon. Let's drop the Lilith, eh? Occult artist, shadow government, influencer, and black moon again. Because of the vertical. It just keeps hitting this one position over and over and over again. Because I'm dealing with the 9 and 10 of Cups. So you see how it's just hitting that vertical. It's hitting that vertical, right? So I'm going with that. I'm repeating it, and seeing how it resonates. We're doing, yes, we cross this way, but we stay in the one, because we're bringing that down here, right between them. Yes, it's staying right between them all through there. So it's staying right between them here. And staying right, all this cat energy versus all the dog energy. Looking for dog affirmations in first house. And certainly, I've already gone back to the dog in December, yes. But as soon as we hit Aries house, over in the house where I expect all kinds of messages, this was, all of a sudden, this was a new book at Rick's and Mike's, sitting on their coffee table. As soon as, like within a day or two of hitting Aries, this was on the table. And so absolutely, good old Kafka. I love Kafka. So a few shots of that book. I enjoy it. Oh, it's upside down. Get its side. Let's see if I can get my no, can't get the camera to behave. Anything else? Yes. Because I thought these would be kind of neat. Let's see. Just to share. And there was a reading. Yes, Missy, one of my favorites, Missy Tarot, Zodiana. She sometimes changes her channel name to Miss Zodiana. But Aries, from the 5 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles. But a message is coming through that you're forgiven. I'm not sure who that message is for, because it's a very, very specific message. So just know that if there's an animal, a pet in heaven that needs that you have been wanting forgiveness from, the forgiveness is, they're okay. That's a very specific message. And I hope that's not triggering, but that came through. And yes, I had a dog. I think I've probably already mentioned it in this video. But that happened during all of this, and of course, and the reading's addressed to Aries, okay? So, we have that. And then, really, in terms of, I found out that as far as my fight with Roger's communication over my phone bill, I'm going to have to get in line behind the mother, the matriarch, and the daughters, because they filed an application. Apparently it's been withdrawn because they're going to settle outside of court, but they had to go up against the whole corporation because the son is acting unilaterally and doing all kinds of shit. So I'm going to file my complaint with Better Business Bureau because it turns out Rogers isn't certified, accredited with them. Not that they are anything honorable, but they at least have a complaints process where they will take your complaint and put it to Rogers, because Rogers doesn't have anybody that I can send all my evidence to. Amazing, isn't it? It's like they just can afford not to care anymore. But because, and they're also taking over Shaw, and so it's in the House of Commons right now, debating exactly how it's going to be maneuvered around the laws that are there to protect against antitrust situations, when this is clearly an antitrust situation, creating almost a near monopoly of the communications industry in Canada. So this will be fun. So that's more Aries energy there, the fight, and there they are, at least two of them coming out. But yeah, no, it's reported. That's Globe and Mail. Not that I ever read them, except unless I have to. Where do I stand? If we go over to, where am I? Oh yeah, boycotting the Russian restaurant in Winnipeg. So here we go with that. This is over on Wheel Burners, where I'm trying to play nice and be good because I really like Brian and Darlene. And let's just say, here's how it went. I'm just trying to, God. I've mentioned it before to them. So I'm trying to put it together. And that's how that's that's where we're at with that. So I went over as well to God, where did it go? So I went over to Tire Roaster because I was leaving the YouTube for the night, but then I noticed that he had this up and I was like, oh, okay. So, I kind of leveraged this and we'll see where we get with that. But so far so good, because he didn't ignore me. And this is how that comment went. I've done fundraising before for my pal Tracy to get her over to people that needed her to be an advocate for them. because the people that do the fighting often don't have the funds to go be where the fight is. And the amount of shit you take for trying to help people out financially, when I would do it privately, and I filled up a credit card helping people privately. So that's where we are with that. It would be fun. It would be fun. I believe that it would be great to have a truckers' political party to commemorate what was done, and to keep the Mars energy strong and going. But anyway, I do believe that's where we're at with guides and concerns and directions for the first house, the wake up, and where we're going. So how long did it take to wake up? Okay, here we go. Where are we going from here? A bunch of different directions. I'm launching my website this week. I'm connecting with Artist Emporium, and I'm going to ask them if I can teach some workshops through them or put the program through them as well. They moved into a new building that's, like I said, exactly on the same street as my main client that I clean for. So everything's come full circle. So full circle is also a theme for Aries. Well, for any, but no, beginning and end, because it's the beginning and end. And emphasis on the beginning. So yeah, everything is very, very interesting right now, and I believe everybody knows that that's watching your readings for this. And okay, I'm going to shut up now. Now I'm recording this. Oh yeah, I need to segue back into... No, that's what I got to do. I got to segue back into the fact that now I'm going to go through... Okay. And so now we come back to this. This is where I leave off. I started with this, I started recording this back a couple of weeks ago, or the last video session, that's right. And so I decided to split it off from the chart work, yeah, nope. Not the chart work, the constellation work. Yeah. So that's something to do with this space station motif, where it's like the space station is where a whole bunch of people are staying, right? And you need to know your purpose. You need to know why you're there, where you're going, what you're doing, or you're just stuck. You're stuck looping. Oh. Yeah, like, are you waiting? Yeah, okay. So, but there's that, like the fact that this didn't all record in a linear thing. There's overlaps and parts and particles. So the perception isn't... It's like there is a memory problem. It's like there is a disorientation. Yes, disorientation must be a theme of Aries. And to get centered. Okay. Well. Okay. But now to spring out on our own in the space pod of Sagittarius. But even as I'm segueing, I'm forgetting that I'm segueing, right? Like I'm still closing off when I'm needing to connect this to the next bit. So now I'm going to do the chain of events. Yes. Because pulling together the chain of events. Yes, that's what we're going to do. Okay. Which basically I'm just doing for the sake of having it documented, because I've recorded it already and I need to publish it. Whether or not you can care enough to stick with it, but it will help. It does help show, if you do it for yourself, that it can be done, that the astrology can be proven, and the dots can be connected. It does take work though. It does take work, and you need motivation for that. Okay, so hang on. I keep doing it. Look at me keep doing it. Okay, we'll come back to this frame. And I just knew that I really love John R. Neal's illustrations, primarily. But I also knew, and Stephen got, like, what did he know? That character is named TikTok. Tiktok. Yep. That's Ozma, obviously. But it's not that it isn't, it's like an energy thing. It's not a worship thing, because I'm just not into, I guess, well, it could be, but who, I'm not sure. Is it Kali? But here we go with, I know a lot of people, this resonated strongly. Now, I haven't been through this kind of mind control torture, but I've worked with people who have, and this would be a mild version of what they went through. But I respected, it's Brian Henson, Jim's kid, who did this. Produced by Disney, so Disney knows all about mind control torture on kids because they run it underground. Fiona Barnett. But Fairuza Balk I love, and she's also my favorite Adam Sandler movie, Waterboy. She did a film in Winnipeg, The Outside Chance of Maximilian Glick. And of course she's in The Craft. And they totally did her wrong in The Craft. The Craft could have been awesome, and it's shit. Which, and then of course, this reminds me, it took me back through my notes, through my photo diaries in room 106 from Twin Peaks, back to David Lynch and Blue Rose 106. Because that caught my attention, because my grandma was born at 106, in an apartment 106. Well, she wasn't born in the apartment, but that's where she lived when she was in London. Born in London, right? And so we go back to when, and I think this was in Aquarius, yes? When my kid was getting me to watch Twin Peaks, and I'd been down in that area at the time when they were filming it. My mom had just died. And so one of the seasons, yes. But there's just, and then David Schroeder, who's home, well, I've got a long history with being friends with David Schroeder and driving David Schroeder nuts, and then causing a gas station explosion by confronting Doug Mesner, who has basically helped to make, he's not alone in it, he works for the CIA as the Mason, covering up as the head of the Satanic Temple, which isn't satanic. But anyway, all these dots that connect. And again, back in the day when I knew Tails, I was just like, oh, Tails carrying that Aries energy. And this is what matters to me. This is remembering why I'm, or remembering who, being brought to remember who I am, being brought to, not even remember, but to waken up to what it was all about. 2012, Lithuania. Now, I got involved with the Hampstead case back in 2015. I discovered David Icke. I'm surprised I forgot to put David Icke in this, but I had kept a screenshot of the day that I discovered David Icke's name. And that was August 29th, 2014. I'd shown up online because of Gaza, because of the Al Jazeera journalists being imprisoned. So the spring uprising, yes, that was all controlled. It's all a Clinton operation. But at the same time as I discovered David Icke, 2 children in London, in Hampstead, were taken into a police interview room, one by one, and divulged information about being sexually tortured in their school in Hampstead, Christchurch. And their videos were later leaked. Well, everything was leaked on purpose by the Met Police. and a group of, inside Masons. There was a network, right? And so Brian Garish of the UK column, Jonathan Wedger, and Bill Maloney, who is a survivor of the Shirley Oaks care home abuse in Lambeth. The three of them, their names are on the first email that puts this into play, but we know that they answer to other people. And so back to 2012 Lithuania, which I find out about maybe 2016, 2017, this girl, Diamante, and her mom is now, no, not her mom. Her birth mom is the person who is used to kidnap her. But Diamante says that at least 3 government officials have been raping her and trafficking her. And it's all upheld in court, as far as I know. But then, of course, there's retribution. These are the things that I'm here for. Basically, what happened was, as much as the town or whoever could show up to try to protect her from being seized, showed up. And they got her. And I do believe that, I don't expect that she lived through the rest of that day. If that's clear enough for you to read. No violence, no violence. They actually blowtorched their way in. So this is one of the videos. This is that Naringa is her aunt and protectress. So they filmed the whole thing. There's audio of everything that she says. And I don't actually think that Diamante, I woke up one morning with her in my head. And usually if something crosses my path, if someone crosses my path, it's because they have not, because they're not here anymore. Everything I understand about other cases, I don't expect that Naringa's brother was tortured and killed. But, so we get back to other things with David Lynch, right? Bunny Lake is missing. It takes me back down to Carol Lindley, which is connected to one of my clients, which everything is connected to most of my clients, but this was my son's birthday. So I love David Lynch's number of the day and the weather report. This is the weather report. And the same day. I took a screenshot. Oh God, is it the 25th? Oh, good Lord. Okay. Happy birthday, George Harrison. It's my ex's birthday as well. So, the zombies were featured in Bunny Lake is Missing, which is a story about a child going missing from a school in Hampstead. 6 is my number, except I'm a 33. But this was on my son's birthday, so it all was lining up. And there's me, October 7th, and that was October 12th. So October 7th, here's me taking screenshots or photos of Bunny Lake is Missing. Again, this is all what the dogs bring me to remind me that William Sargant, one of the mind controllers, one of the bad guys, along with Ewan McCameron. Montreal. I gotta get, I'll get her at the end of this. Or I'll get her in just a second here. MK Ultra girl, who supported me in my Twitter thread about David and Doug. And if I could have gone with her to Montreal, I would have. There's a class action lawsuit that's failing because of internal problems. The women involved in it aren't getting along well enough, and so she broke away. I just watched a report from Ellen Atkin. I just watched her break away and do a report. She started her own class action lawsuit. Yes, I had a dead rabbit in my dad's front lawn right at this time. And yeah, things like green rings. Now, again, because Helen Mirren, I'd been a huge Prime Suspect fan, and Helen Mirren has been accused by several, well, at least one person that I was following, who's an MKUltra victim, named her and Hillary as sexual tormentors. But here we have this green ring, which takes me back to David with a green ring that's in Twin Peaks. There's also the problem of herself, Naomi Watts, being best friends with Nicole Kidman. And of course, Naomi is in the 3rd season of Twin Peaks, as well as the excellent, I mean, it is excellent, Mulholland Drive. Phenomenal. And I can only wonder how much Naomi has suffered being Nicole's best friend. Which takes me to September 15th, because this was in the same time as I was looking that up, and Agatha's birthday, and Agatha has always, she's my 9 of Wands. That's where my 9 Wands fall in my chart. And I've had more messages from her. But, forgetting that February 16th, we just had February 16th was the full moon, that Leo full moon, and it was Pamela's birthday. And then she passed on September 18th. Done wrong. Now, the thing about David Lynch is, I'm guessing he's a Theosophist. At least he's a huge fan of Frank Baum and Wizard of Oz. So this character, Garland, in Twin Peaks, he's named for Judy Garland because of Wizard of Oz. Okay, so this is just how it all... So here we are on the Theosophical Society article about... And this is where I go looking for this today, and I find out that Matilda Jocelyn Gage joined the society recommended by... Her admission date is March 26th, and that's... My mother died on March 26th. So what that all means, but here's the article. Theosophical.org, Oz, a notable theosophist. They've got some very interesting printing problems, type problems. I don't know if they did that on purpose, just to mess with the Google being able to read it and do something with it. I'm not sure, but or just some bad typesetting. But back to Nicole Kidman. Takes me to Fiona Barnett, because Fiona Barnett I came into contact with because of the Hampstead case. The person that I was helping, Charlotte, I ran the Twitter account. I opened a Twitter account for Hampstead Research .wordpress.com, and that was run by Charlotte and her husband. And Charlotte brought Fiona and David Schroeder together. And Fiona named Anthony as one of her, later on, one of her main abusers. She's been through a lot. So, Fiona Barnett, eyes wide open. Here are some of the people in my life who were murdered and who sometimes look a little too much like Laura Palmer for me, from Twin Peaks. So somebody is and this is Mallory right here, and this is Mallory's grandma, who's one of my clients. And then this showed up when her great uncle passed. This got shipped over to her grandma, and I was like, hang on a second, I know that ring. Here is 106, room 106, apartment 106. My grandma's birth certificate, which has the address on it there. Okay, so I realized, but this is what you do. You just connect all these dots, right? I've already done, this is from previous months where I do these photo collages, right? And then connect the colors, Oya, and Oshun. But you just, yeah. Gwendolyn McEwen, Canadian author that I know, that I follow in her footsteps, and her castle is that close. The McEwen castle is that close to the McLaughlin castle. And now that I don't want to have anything to do with the McLaughlin castle, because they're in bed with the Sinclairs and the Campbells, and Michael Quino is a Campbell, and Justin Trudeau is a Sinclair, and we've got the Rosslyn Templars, and they're basically the stronghold of Scottish Masonry with the Sinclairs, the St. Clairs. But this is my novel, my sex comedy novel that's going to tackle everything. Robert and Jennifer Ride the Bus. And that's been hounding me. That came into my world. These are just more, this is more dot connecting from the previous months. There's Sinead and Hecate, information in the pink and purple coloring. But Sinead, well, if you've looked at any of the other videos, you know how important Sinead's been in my life. But look at how similar her face is to Fiona's there. That's Fiona Barnett. So, this is where the Fool's Journey takes me. All this root work, the first part of my life, modeling myself after Anne of Green Gables, because I was living with people who weren't happy married. Mom was a professional opera singer, classical singer, but she was also dying. And there's just a lot of, they'd been together 10 years before they had me, and I'm pretty sure I got forced on the scene. And so they're just, I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. So I didn't develop, my identity was stuck on purpose, according to the chart. Again, so Green Man energy, these are all in a home, one of my clients' homes, right? Which just reminded me of the dog statues in there. So I know that it's all signals. I know, like, whoever's setting this game up, now, is it part of the game? The difficulty is what's part of the game, what's working against me, and who's helping me working with me. They're both in the game. So I go back to Vidya Mitra, because we're dealing with the Nagas, there are humans, there are human tribes called Naga. So I don't know if this is, but anyway. Ashlesha, which starts Leo, right? The last pada of Ashlesha starts Leo. But takes us to the Himalayas. Okay. Amongst the yogis in the Himalayas, Earth is a prison designed to keep you inside without walls. Well, Himalayas, mountain range separating the plains of the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan plateau, right? And of course, Mount Everest. One of my main helpers is Mary Everest Boole. Same family. And she's a mathematician. She gave us, well, her Irish husband gave us Boolean logic for the computer. And she gave us Boolean curves, which became Bezier curves, where you put straight lines together to create curves out of straight lines. She did it by stitching. And now it's vector. Well, not quite vector, but... So, Tibet. One of the main themes of Twin Peaks. Transcendental meditation in Tibet. So, what's near Tibet? The knowledge that this is a prison planet. The David Lynch Foundation, Transcendental Meditation, right? So, now, what I have to let it all go back to, though, is when I really woke up was March 16th, 2015, when D.H. Lawrence's Apocalypse arrived on my doorstep. This is the book that really started pulling me back into the astronomy, the astrology, the stars. And the Etruscans. D.H. Lawrence loved the Etruscans. Now, D.H. Lawrence was heavily monitored by Aldous Huxley, and Aldous Huxley started the mind control program, especially with LSD. And the whole Huxley family is a horror story. I used to love Brave New World a little bit, but it was also disconcerting. But he also took the idea, DH's idea of an island, and did his own thing with it. But what he did through the LSD program, and basically working against people behind their backs, right? DH suddenly gets ill and dies right before Apocalypse is published, right? And I just feel like it's convenient. He was not no, I think he died for it. I think this is one of the writers who dies for what they do. I do love Jesse Chambers. Wrote a book about him to equal, like he did it wrong. He did it wrong. Not that he could have done better with what he had to cope with, but I do love. I have to say a huge thank you to Jesse Chambers. At the same time, I've got her book about him. But the Etruscans. Well, that takes me to Mami Wata. That takes me to Mama Zagbe. And there goes the cat again, for emphasis. Yes, Emily. Okay. Heavily cross-populated by people who maybe came up from Africa, but maybe we just always were in the neighborhood. Because it might not all have just been Africa, right? There might have been more people elsewhere. So, all around the Mediterranean. Now, of course, this takes us to the oracles, okay? So, but this is who, there's very little known about the Etruscans, and David helped me make sure that I get to the point where I find out who the real Etruscans are. And that's it for the fool's journey of waking me up to who I am to some extent. Again, because this was another wake up was when I got this book when I was 8 years old. Okay. And that was right after the movie had been produced. Obviously, it wasn't, no, it came out after 85, 86. But I just wanted to read for a moment. And this was the card that, remember I was talking, he carries the keys, yes? The keys to finding out. The usual vision of the dragon is, however, not personal but cosmic. It is in the vast cosmos of the stars that the dragon writhes and lashes. We see him in his maleficent aspect red, but don't let us forget that when he stirs green and flashing on a pure dark night of stars, it is he who makes the wonder of the night. It is the full rich coiling of his folds which makes the heavens sumptuously serene, as he glides around and guards the immunity, the precious strength of the planets, and gives luster and new strength to the fixed stars, and still more serene beauty to the moon. His coils within the sun make the sun glad, till the sun dances in radiance, for in his good aspect the dragon is the great vivifier, the great enhancer of the whole universe. And there's more to it than that. He's taking apart the book of Revelations for all the symbolisms, okay? And he's saying, here's where they got this, here's where they got that, and they push it all together. And at the same time, he's like, yeah, and as a messed up job as that is, he's like, they do ultimately take us back to the stars because they can't be cured of it. And so don't we all need to get back to the stars? And so if this book had been to succeed on a large scale, now of course all his other work matters to me as well. And his artwork, which had been banned and lives behind a curtain in a hotel in, I want to say, either New Mexico or Texas. Can't quite remember. because it was about sex. So no, he's heavily influential with me, but on all fronts. But this is part of the huge part of the wake up. So that was 2015, and same time as the Hampstead case really hit the big waves. Sabine McNeil, who I believe has been released mysteriously somehow and returned to Berlin, although I'm sure she doesn't want to go back to her London home. But she's the CERN mathematician who was the official designated whistleblower and then paid the price for it by being thrown under the bus by the team that shoved her out in front. She and I had something of a friendship because we connected over the math and the drawing. And so she did a digital I Ching, which maps basically the universe and the DNA. She's not the only one that does that, but no. And so, yes, so who are you? Where do you come from? And I can say this. What I've been forgetting to mention is right where just to finish up. Now let's see here, do I have... Yeah, I do. Okay. God, sometimes, like, why would I have the wrong one all of a sudden? It's just because it's light colored. Okay. So right where... God, that really is pale. It might be too pale. Okay. His head. I could get the shadow off his head and the feather. Okay. Right there. Yeah, it's a little too pale, isn't it? But his feather's right there, and that's the only placement that I have, right? Where there's the feather included. And that falls right on the Venus, and that falls right in the first pada of Rohini. And that is a pada noted for redheads. Redheads and tomboys. Now, if we mix that with the psychic artist, all that stuff, everything else that I've got listed, and we're looking for a time as to when I start to wake up to the whole process of the chart, right? Don't we just go back to Amsterdam when I'm 17? I am just past, this is in July 1995, and I'm just a couple of months past my 17th birthday. So we're heading towards the south node, north node situation. But really, in terms of waking up, no, I get, is that a south node thing? But there's the redhead doing her thing. And definitely that's the night, that's the morning after I went sleepwalking, and they started to pull me out of the mind control and the trauma. So 17, what's half of 17 is 8.5. I can't say that there's, it's not a lunar cycle. Is it half of a Chiron? Now it's my Neptune. Ah, it's like a quarter of a Neptune cycle. Everything I do around drawing is tied to my son Alex and my Neptune cycles. So is that what it is? It's a quarter of a, it's like, because 7, 14 would be, well, that's not even, no, I can't say a quarter of a Neptune cycle, because a Neptune cycle is going to be a lot. But Neptune breaks down to 14, but that could break down to 7, which is also the tail end of a Venus cycle. But if we add half of the 7 to the 14, that kind of thing. but tending towards. So then we have the alignment of that Neptune energy with a south node, north node period of opportunities away from something towards something, because then my south node, north node was absolutely my leaving home to go to move to PEI, to Prince Edward Island. And so, of course, and that ties everything together with the book that I'm writing about, all of these, the whole psychic experience and the astrological experience, and how I started this project before I even knew I was getting into astrology and tarot, because I knew that there was so much psychically going on and there were so many life paths converging for me. Yeah, I do have Anne Frank's, the place that's reported to be where Anne Frank's family hid, although how there was smoke. Anyway, we won't go down that path right now. We're going to go down that path in this book, though. And not necessarily to throw everything out. But maybe. Anyway. So, the feather in the cap lines up with the redhead, lines up with the wake-up period, which lines up with the whole point of Aries. And further to that, well, I think what I'll do, now the question is, because the question is, this space station, where are we going? I know. Okay, so we know I've got the McLaughlins mostly hating me, the Campbells mostly hating me, the Sinclairs mostly hating me. Pretty sure. I'm also a Howe and a Ross and a Nash. I don't know how they feel about me yet. Oh, actually, I think the Howes might not be too fond of me either. The Ross, I don't expect the Rosses to I expect everybody that I'm largely blood related to not to like me. I would like to, somewhere in space-time I was French, and that's where I've come full circle to that. Feel a very strong affinity for Joan of Arc, but also most of my Georges Seurat and Maurice Ravel. But I do need to owe Mozart a lot, and Beethoven. They were both killed by the lodge prince that they owed money to, or whoever killed them for him. No, I'm pretty sure because of the Orisha, because of Kali, because of everything else, I think I'm in better standing with everybody else except who I'm blood related to. They seem to send me a lot of really spiteful, not the ones that are on my side, my family. My family on the other side, my ancestors seem to send me a lot of spiteful stuff. So, yeah. But I'm very sure of that now. So I have that much. Where they are and where we all come from and where we're returning to, they know. And so far, I don't know. Maybe we all come from exactly where we are. Maybe. Okay. So next, here we go. Can't believe we're actually basically set to gotta catch up and catch that space pod. So Sagittarius next. Much love. Week number 50. How did we do that? There's still like a lot more weeks to go. There's at least, what, 7 weeks to go in this? Okay, anyway, much love.